Madam Clerk, ready? Good morning. It is 10 a.m. and today is October 23rd, 2018, and this is the Washoe County Board of Commissioners meeting. First on the agenda is the salute to the flag. If I could ask Miss Registrar of Voters, Spicola, if you could lead us in that, thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Beautiful morning.
He's an Air Force pilot.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, he's our military.
Would you like a roll call?
Yes, please.
Chair Marcia Berg-Bigler is absent. Vice Chair Katie Jung.
Present.
Bob Lucy.
Here.
Von Hartung.
Present.
Jeannie Herman. Here. County Manager John Slaughter.
Present.
Assistant DA Paula Borelli.
Here.
And I'm Jan Galasini, County, Madam, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Item number 3 is an appearance by Deanna Spicola. She is our Registrar of Voters, and she is going to give us an update on the 2018 election preparations and voting as it is undergoing. Ms. Spicola?
All right, thank you so much. My name is Deanna Spicula, Washoe County Registrar of Voters. All right. Kind of waiting for. So the first thing I have to report is we have a record high voter registration numbers. So not only for the state, but also for Washoe County. We have finally hit over 269,000 registered voters in Washoe County. The breakdown is right up there. So we have still a few more Republican registered voters. And of course, our nonpartisan registrations are going up over, the partisan registrations at this point. We have 23 early voting locations. We did add Sun Valley, and that was with the help of former County Commissioner Gene Stos, and working with our current Board of County Commissioners, our manager's office, Human Services, and the Sun Valley GID. We were able to secure a location in Sun Valley for our voters for early voting. We're very proud of that and very happy of the location that we finally were able to secure. And so we do have voting at that location in Sun Valley. For Election Day, we do have 83 Election Day polling locations. And with this election, yes, you can vote at any location. With the legislative change that we can have electronic rosters now, and the fact that we have technology that can also handle the flow of voters out in the field on Election Day, we are able to provide voting at any location for any voter. So that's a significant improvement. So if somebody just simply walks into the wrong location, they will not be denied the access to voting. They will be able to vote at that location. We have deployed 215 ICX Prime voting tablets for early voting, and we plan to use 812 of the Prime voting tablets for Election Day. We have over 100 early voting workers working out in the field, and we have over 400 Election Day poll workers that we have trained and will be out working to help our citizens vote for Election Day. So we had a very strong turnout for early voting over the weekend. These numbers that we're seeing are more like a presidential year than a midterm election. So we are very happy to see such a strong turnout. As you can see from our numbers, we had over 14,000 people show up to early vote. And also with absentee, we're seeing a very strong turnout and a very strong request for absentee ballots as well. So some of the new things that we have implemented for this election is we have an LED light that is supposed to alert the poll worker and the voter if there's an issue with their voting tablet. It's usually if a poll worker pulls their card out before they have finished casting their ballot, is that light will turn red and it will blink and it will actually have an audible alarm as well. So we're hoping that that will help with our fled voter issue that we've always had within the county. This alert, I can't imagine that anybody can miss it. So hopefully this will be the most helpful tool that we have out in the field to help to make sure that voters are casting their ballots fully on our new equipment. We have larger privacy shields. They did get caught up in customs, so we're waiting for them to get released so we can get them out. As soon as we receive them, we will be deploying them out to every early voting location, and we will have them available for Election Day. We also enhanced our poll worker training. So we have a new process where we're actually allowing them to have more hands-on training with our equipment, and they can spend as much time as they like with our equipment. They can come back time and time again if they want more training. We have an open house that they are able to come and again, do hands-on training and basically handle the equipment as much as they like. We also received an update to our voting system from our vendor, Dominion Voting, and it's been, so far we have seen no issues out in the field. We are very pleased with how our election equipment is working out there, and very, very hopeful that Election Day also will be just as smooth as early voting has been. So our sample ballots was another thing that was a little bit different this year. We actually mailed out the sample ballots in two parts. We mailed out the informational portion with the sample ballot facsimile and the questions in two separate mailings. There was a cost savings to mailing them out separately as opposed to combining them on print cost, and also the manual insertion, that it's a labor cost for them to manually insert those. Because of the size, they would have had to gone into a mailing envelope as opposed to something that they could fold and tab. So the cost savings was on not the manual insertion and on postage. We were able to realize a better postage rate doing the sample ballots the way that we actually sent them out. Election mailers. I know we've been getting a lot of calls, and I know you guys have heard the complaints about people not registered or not being living at a residence address. This is just a sampling of the mailings I have received at my home. These are just to, any registered voter or the household of. They're not necessarily directed at a specific person, but sometimes they might be. These are third-party mailers. They don't coordinate with our office or the Secretary of State's office. And they get their data and their mailing lists from various sources. It's not necessarily that they're accurate. They could get their sources from a mail house or some old data from some other source. So of course, if you get a mailing at your house that is for a voter who is not living at that residence, please report it to our office. There are avenues that we can take to start the process of mailing out a card to those voters to get their updated information. Sometimes it's somebody who has moved and no longer resides at that address, or at some point the address may have been incorrect and entered incorrectly. So of course, we want to reach out to those voters and see if we can get their updated information and get their registrations updated. And of course, with these mailers, by law, they have to identify who they are that is mailing, who is providing the funding for these mailers. And they cannot use any local government, the Secretary of State's office logo, or the election mailing insignia. So again, this is kind of the same thing. We do perform voter list maintenance. We cannot perform any of these list maintenance projects within 90 days of an election. We do get them from some data from the National Change of Address Program through the USPS. And we also get information from our cross-check that we do with the Secretary of State's office. Plus, we do have access to information about statewide moves. So if somebody moves within the state into a different jurisdiction, we do get notification of that as well. However, not everybody gets caught up in those nets. We want people to check their voter registration online or with the Secretary of State's office to see where they are registered. And if they have any questions, to please call our office. We are the best resource to help you if you have an issue or if you're not seeing yourself on the voter rolls. We are the ones that can help you resolve the issue. And just a quick security update as well. We did, in conjunction with the Department of Homeland Security and the Secretary of State's office, we did participate in a tabletop exercise at the State Emergency Operations Center in August of this year. There was 5 members from Washoe County who attended this tabletop exercise, and it was a great experience, and we are working with our Secretary of State's office and the Department of Homeland Security to ensure the integrity of our data and our technology infrastructure. We have installed the Albert sensor, which monitors the traffic and reports any questionable activity across our network, and that's available to all of Washoe County. And of course, we're very proud that we're a member of the EI ISAC and the MS ISAC, which is the Elections and Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, again, working with federal and state agencies to ensure the integrity of our voting rolls. And lastly, the last information, again, just to reiterate about our election process, and that on our election data, our machines are standalone. They do not transmit any information electronically. We do not receive any tally or any election results until election night. We do not begin tally until election night. So there is no results or any other information that's being reported out there. What they might report is turnout numbers, but results are not allowed to be released until the Secretary of State's office lets us know that we are allowed to release those results after all polls have closed across the state on election night. All right, with that, I am complete with my update. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Ms. Spicula. Do we have any questions from the board? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Herman was signed in first.
I'm sorry?
It's okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got an email from Susan Sievert in Sun Valley, and she's making a suggestion. I know you mentioned the voting place there, but she's suggesting that maybe they put some signage there to alert people to the fact that you do have that site there.
From my understanding, they do have some signage out. Of course, if we need more, we can send some out.
She's suggesting that.
Okay, yeah, I will work with our equipment supply center and see if we can get some more signage out there. I believe the GID is also posting it on their marquee. And again, if we can help by getting some more signage out to direct people, we'll do that.
Right, and then there's quite a few calls I've had from people from Warm Springs that have said that they didn't get a sample ballot, so.
If there's anybody in particular, please let them have them contact our office, and we can mail them out another one. We'll get it to them.
Thank you.
So you're welcome.
Commissioner Hartung?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question and then a comment, Ms. Spicula. Question is if someone lived in this state and was registered to vote, and then they moved out of state, is there some type of cross communication that happens between all 50 states? So if I live here, register, move to, Wyoming, and then register to vote there, how does that work?
Yeah, there's a few avenues. First of all, like when somebody registers somewhere else, they should send a notification if they tell that office that they have moved and that they were priorly registered in Washoe County in Nevada. They will send a notification, but voters don't always do that. We do participate in the interstate cross-check program, and that's administered through the state, but not all 50 states are members. So it's only the member states that participate in this, and we do a cross-check. So of course, if somebody's mailed or is identified as being registered in another state, we do send them a card, and we'll get that confirmation from them. It would be great if all 50 states were a member, but at this time they're not. So the only way that those people, if they do move and we don't get notification, the only way they'll come off our voting rolls is basically with time. Eventually, we might get a notification from the United States Postal Service that they have moved and they have a different address, and then we can start the process of sending them the mailer and getting that confirmation that they have moved. But there are definitely, it's not a completely seamless process across the 50 states. More states are joining that cross-check program, but at this point, I want to say there's only 12 or 15, somewhere around there.
And again, I recognize that's a federal issue,
Yeah.
but I wondered how it was handled. So my wife and I went to vote yesterday, seamless. The poll workers were well-trained, and it was an easy process. There was nothing difficult about it.
Great. I'm
So
glad to hear that.
well done on the training. I mean, they were great. They knew exactly how to look things up, and we use the paperless sample ballots. So we do not get mailed ballots. We get ours off online and download them. So that was that was an easy process also, although I would like to see something a little larger because the print is very small, the way that the ballots come out.
Yeah, that was another thing for us. The ballot is very long. So some of the processing times it's a little bit longer because people are spending more time. There is a lot of contests on the election and plus all the questions on the ballot. So it's a little bit longer than usual as far as the size of the.
The ballot will fit on an 8.5 by 11 page, but and I was able to go in and actually make it larger. I had the software and the capability to make it larger.
Yeah.
But some people may not, and it can be fairly small. So I'm hoping that that's something that we can fix in the future.
Yeah, that is something that's actually on our future, something to look at for 2020 is to redesign our sample ballot. We
The
definitely
online
want to
sample
have
ballot, the one that
yeah.
you download when you put in your
Yeah.
personal information. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It was, but
Revamp
it's,
all of it, yeah.
it was still very seamless.
Great, thank you.
Tell the team well done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you all over the news on election night.
Yes, all right, thank you.
You make us proud. Thank you. Mr. Manager, please read the item number 3 or 4.
Yes, item 4 is public comment. Comment heard on this item is limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person, and comments to be made to the commission as a whole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manager. First up, we have Ms. Catherine Snedegar.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Catherine Snedegar. I'm a non-person, non-resident, unenfranchised, natural woman, human being. I'm glad you're all in agreement with me that I am a human being and that the development code does not apply to human beings because it applies to persons specifically. And I'm glad that you agree that you don't have the authority to make any violation of the development code a misdemeanor. Now, I want to know when you're going to fix that. You are mere administrative assistants for the state. You don't get to create law, which means you cannot make any violation of the development code a misdemeanor because the legislature did not give you that authority. It says who can write a citation, but it doesn't give you the authority to make every violation of the development code a misdemeanor. And your council knows that. And yet you do it anyway, and you've been doing it for years. I got a citation for property I didn't own and stuff that was on it that didn't belong to me. I even went to jail over that because it was a misdemeanor. Well, it's not a misdemeanor. It's a fraud when you do that. It gives the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency the authority to make any violation of their development code a misdemeanor. It does not give the other counties in the state the same ability. You know, you talk about experts on the subject matter. Well, just because you're a county employee or you hire somebody doesn't mean they're an expert. But I'll tell you who is the expert. The person that's harassed by the county, that's the one who becomes the expert on the subject matter. Now, you've intentionally put people in harm's way. You intentionally do not provide your fiduciary obligations to the people. You intentionally find everything in favor of any entity that comes your way. But when it comes to the people that you're supposed to protect, and it says so in the Constitution, in the court rules, everywhere, in the statutes, that your job is to fulfill your fiduciary obligations because you hold the public trust. And you ignore your fiduciary obligation, and you're using your chair as an alter ego to do whatever you want. Now, I came up here and I asked how much it costs to pay to play. I still haven't gotten an answer. And I still haven't gotten any response about the misdemeanor situation. So I'm glad you agree. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Danny Cleus.
Danny Cleus for the record. Earlier this year, Mr. Solero came up here and addressed y'all for a $115,000 check from FEMA to fix Swan Lake. Well, obviously that hasn't happened. So, trying to find out where that $115,000 went. Why isn't our lake fixed? Why isn't any trails fixed? Because earlier we were told, oh, it was weather problems, so we couldn't go out there and work. I guess it was too hot for them, because we haven't had any weather problems yet. The dock is still in disrepair. There's a bunch of red paint on it now after that little thing. But now we're told it's an audit, and that's stopping the funds of FEMA. What's really going on? Did our money go somewhere else again? Because that seems to happen a lot with the Washoe County. Things for the North Valleys just disappear, get allocated somewhere else. Over and over and over. Where did it go? Another thing, just right outside your chambers here, the voting polls. They have one voting machine that faces the TV that you can see the reflection in. Pretty smart. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cleus. Ms. Elise Weatherly?
Good morning, Elise Weatherly. I just wanted to let you guys know, I see what these guys are talking about. There's humans versus parties, right? Right? Okay, so what I see is, I see Gene Herman having compassion that usually is attributed to Democrats. During that Lemon Valley thing, you had some compassion for these people. You wanted to help fix their problems. Mr. Hartung had the accounting side of things, which is what I would have. You know, is it our responsibility? Does it make sense? Is there something we can do or should do? Ms. Burke-Bigler said something that I should live by all the time, and that's
Ms.
that
Weatherly, please
Yes?
address the commission as a whole, not
Okay.
individually. Thank you.
So I cannot do individuals.
I would prefer you didn't.
Okay.
That's the
Well, then-
rules under public comment. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So we do have some issues with acts of God, and I won't say who did that. But what I did was I had a brochure that came from Gene Herman's opponent, Lindsay Judd. So I read it, I called her, and I said, here's what I see, is that we have got some principled people that want to have compassion on other people, but they have compassion without discernment. When we address homeless people as if they're all poor people that need to be taken care of, we're not exercising in a discernment that some of those people are there because they want to be, and they want to be taken care of, and they want me to pay for their stuff, and they want me to pay for their troubles. And so the way I vote, it's not against a person, it's based on the policies of the party, unfortunately. And I used to be Democrat to the heart because I wanted to feel sorry for everybody and fix everybody's problems, okay? I couldn't even fix my own. So what I did instead is I became accountable to others and to God and to myself to say, yes, you will have to have compassion, but you also have to have some wisdom in not just giving things away to anybody that wants it. Because guess what? Guess what, Ms. Judd and Ms. Spicula? There are some people that actually won't accidentally walk into the wrong polling place. They will walk in someplace intentionally to get a vote for their party, which is not legal. So we have to follow the laws, and we have to follow the legal things, and we have to not throw compassion on people that might do that. I love the question about, states, going to different states, because we are separate. We have borders, right? We have borders and boundaries. We want to make sure that the people that vote here, live here, and are entitled to vote here and do what's right. The other thing too, and this is an offsetting thing, when we have the bilingual, when I got the voting things in the bilingual language, it disappointed me and discouraged me. I would never go with Hillary Clinton saying that we have to, give in to people like that, because what that has done is caused a divided nation. Because if we don't have communication, how can we communicate with each other and fix problems? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Weatherly. Ms. Tammy Holtstill?
Tammy Holt Still, Lemon Valley Swan Lake Recovery Committee for the record. Yesterday was a very eye-opening day for me. I had gone for the first time to an RTC meeting. And after asking direct questions, I actually got some direct answers. And this board is not the authority when it comes to elevation of Lemon Drive and when it's going to be done. So voting to approve that project when they did is questionable. And the reason it's questionable is due to the fact that you were looking at the money that's going to come in for that. And if they can't do Lemon Drive immediately with that money, where's that money going to go? It seems like money comes in and is always misappropriated, moved to other places. And that is not what it's about. I know what the checks and balances were with the state of Nevada. I don't think those checks and balances are done here properly. And hopefully one of these days, it will be looked at. It will be fixed, and some people will have their heads roll. It would be kind of nice because of the fact that things aren't being done properly. It's obvious whenever this board does not worry about its residents when they are told that residents are out there without water and sewer for 3 months before, oh, maybe we should call a state of emergency. You know, only after the governor came out and he had to put pressure on you. That is on you, not anybody else. And I will keep going. I will always be the squeaky wheel, and I will help the residents out there because that is what needs to be done. I know what's right, I know what's wrong, and what I have seen from this board is morally wrong. And karma does come back around, and hopefully karma will come and get ya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Jessica Colts. You have to give that to the clerk, and then she will, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Colts. I was a counselor in the district for 3 years total, 2 years with special education students and 1 year in general education at Glen Duncan. So I had the opportunity and the privilege to work with Washoe County last year. I am currently getting my doctoral degree at UNR, so I'm pretty busy, but I thought this would be a great time to just kind of talk about the need for supporting our at-risk youth populations. At Glen Duncan, I saw a lot of students I worked with, you know, being affiliated with gangs or violence or drugs in the area, and I am a big advocate to help support them to go into leadership opportunities without being negatively influenced by gangs and violence. In the nonprofit that I just started called Mindful Health Initiative, I am interested in supporting the at-risk youth populations with different sports activities, arts, and music through community involvement. And I would love to be involved in Washoe County in whatever way that I can to support these youth for a free cost to have them belong to different groups in a safe learning environment. This will support their cognitive development and improve learning through mindfulness-related activities and support their mental health and bring awareness to other populations through community leadership and community involvement. So I'm hoping that I can spread the word to support students and to get people interested in this collaboration to support our at-risk youth and these populations that will be our future here. So our mission is just to improve the physical and mental well-being of students in at-risk populations to incorporate mindful practice. And I'm going to read just a little bit about leadership and why it's important. We've made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world, there's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you've changed the whole thing. So my hope is to support those students in any at-risk populations to be a leader in their groups and to hopefully change their world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jeff Church.
Good morning, folks. Jeff Church. For the record, I run RenoTaxRevolt.com. I'm here to talk about some voter irregularities with the WC1 ballot measure. On your handout or on the flyer here, if you can see it, the PAC that supports the WC1 flood tax increase used the Sparks City official logo and claimed the endorsement of, quote, their City of Sparks. Now, I spoke to your registrar, I won't try and pronounce her name, about this, and I sent her an email, but you may want to contact her because I just heard her say that they can't use the logo. When I was unsuccessful in obtaining results from the PAC, I filed a complaint with the Secretary of State, and I noticed the registrar here, and as of this morning, they have withdrawn that from their website, but the damage is done. Anybody that saw that thinks that Sparks, officially in their capacity, endorsed WC1, and of course I'm opposed. My website is www.taxyourselfnotme versus their website. So I guess I'm asking you to maybe contact the registrar and see if there's something they can put out to correct the record, to be fair. And as I move along, at the last meeting, I attempted to speak to the board as a whole, but myself and others at that meeting attempted to present criticism or commendation to employees of Washoe County. And again, I'm addressing you all as a board. In that matter, we were prohibited from doing that. I intend to do that now. So if we have any problem, now's the time to stop the clock and ask for a legal opinion. And if you do throw me out, just let me gather my belongings. I'll go peacefully. The board looks at many issues, including light rail. I want to commend Commissioner Hartung in front of the board for his efforts to look at light rail.
Mr. Church, you are to address the board as a whole.
I'm addressing the board as a whole, ma'am. I'm just commending Mr. Hartung in front of the board.
Mr. Liparelli,
Can we get
can I
you
get
can
some
stop the
guidance
clock.
here?
I've got 50 seconds.
Madam Chair, the state law on public comment allows for public bodies to impose reasonable restrictions on the time, place, and manner of speech, but generally not the content, unless a speaker's conduct in a public meeting has reached the level of disruption. They're usually permitted to continue. The board's rules do encourage public speakers to address the board as a whole, because not doing so could degenerate into a one-on-one debate, which is not the purpose of the public comment
Okay, carry
period.
on, Mr. Church.
I also remind you that at the last meeting, we had about a 15-minute session of commendations for the various employees that were paraded up here, and it was well-deserved. So once again, I urge the board to support light rail, as I commend Commissioner Hartung for doing it. I also commend certain members of the commission for their stance on WC1. I ask you all as a board to come out individually, not representing the commission, on your position on WC1, which is the flood tax property increase. And specifically, I commend Mr. Lucy, Ms. Herman, and Ms. Young for their position against WC1. Thank you very much, and I even made it on time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sam Dene.
Sam Dene, the heart and soul and the body and mind of Reno government. I'm an Air Force Academy graduate. I've been to more meetings than all the people in the community added together, at least to more podiums. I represent 300,000 people when I come to these podiums. There's nobody in the audience here. Well, a couple of people. I represent 300,000 people. If anybody wants to challenge it, come up here and do it. That one lady back there said, well, it's only 299,999 because she doesn't always agree with me. I am the #1 voice for promoting early voting, but I am also the #1 voice for adamantly disagreeing with the way it is being done. When it was created in the beginning, people could go down and vote early. They put their ballot in there, and nobody knows anything, nothing. That lady came up here a little while ago. I wanted to talk, but you wouldn't let me. She came up here, and nice young lady. I'm sure she's probably just been tricked into this thing because it's been death by 1,000 cuts. This is supposed to be a secret vote. She already went up there and told you that. So many Democrats and so many Republicans have voted. Now you're sitting at home saying, well, all the Democrats have voted. No use voting now. There are too many horrible reasons for announcing the results and any information at all about early voting. You put it in the box and you never hear a thing about it. Everybody goes about their way as if there was only one day of voting. Secondly, I've got to talk about this lying, cheating, cold, dead, beaten, yellow-bellied, treacherous operation called RenoElections.org. These are a bunch of treacherous, they call themselves nonpartisan, and you look at the records, and there's hundreds of thousands of dollars being dedicated to, not to the Reno people. Reno's report card gets FFF. They're attacking the current Reno, and I'm not defending them, but they're attacking them with your tax dollars and your tax dollars, and they're lying and cheating about it. They ought to be investigated. It's the Tahoe Reno Industrial Complex, somebody named Griswold, somebody named White. They say they're nonpartisan. They are absolutely not nonpartisan. They're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into the, I think call them challengers, into the non-incumbent people, into their cronies so that they can make them their puppets. These people want to make them their puppets so they can get the people in there to do what they tell them to do. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's your own tax dollars being wasted on this. Reno is on fire. It's not on fire. Look at this. Hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're spending on these things. You know what I say about it? Patooey. And this one too, patooey, patooey. This is what I say about those evil traitors.
Thank you very much. That is all I have signed in for public comment, so we will bring it back to the board and Mr. Manager.
Next item is item 5. This is Commissioner County Manager's announcements, reports, and updates, requests for information or topics for future agendas.
Mr. Manager, do you have anything?
Not.
Okay, great. Let's see, Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The manager and I attended the NACO meeting in Las Vegas. It was an interesting meeting. One of the things that was brought up, and is Ms. Howell still here? She is, good, was the Stepping Up initiative, and it's a great initiative. Commissioner Lucy has worked really hard on this. I would love, Clark County is now and Lyon County are finally getting into it. And I would love to have Ms. Howell at some point come back and just give us a brief on what Stepping Up is. And it has to do with the mentally ill landing in our jails. And it's a wonderful initiative, and I'd like to hear more about what we're doing. And I know we're leading the game at this point in the state, but I'd just like to know. As I mentioned earlier, I voted. Get out and vote. I encourage everyone, and that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair. Oh, and we're reminded that we have another NACO meeting in November for all of us.
Yep.
Down in Douglas County.
I'll be there. I think we're all going to be there, actually. Any other announcements? I have a couple. The PhD candidate that was here for the Mindful Health Initiative, I'd like to help you with that. So if we could get staff to reach out, and I think we need to also go to the school board to help put that through. And congratulations on being a doctoral student, and welcome to Reno. I saw you're from New York originally. And then I wanted to let the public know that Thursday is the regular District Board of Health meeting, and that is at 1 o'clock here in these chambers. Friday is Nevada Day. Happy Nevada Day to Captain Nevada, and to the rest of us. I hope that you will celebrate that in the way that you most feel Nevadan. And then finally, I just wanted to bring to the attention to the board and to the public that with the The temperature is dropping. There are more homeless encampments along the I-80 corridor that have been, cleaned up. But my concern is when we go down there to ask them to get off public property, that they have a place to go. Because otherwise, we're just shifting them to different neighborhoods, as we've seen on Quartz Lane, et cetera. So I don't know how that works, Ms. Howell, but I'm sure you have a team that can go out and address that. It'll be a matter of days before we get a lot of complaints to 311 about that. And just please, let's make sure they have a place to go rather than just rousting them out of it. And that is all I have. Does it, oh, here, see, it made somebody think.
Yes.
Commissioner Lucy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You did spur something in regards to the homeless. I do want to give a brief update. This board supported the initiative for the Business Improvement District in downtown, which would be an ambassador program to help with the downtown corridor, public and private entities alike joining together to address the homeless issue, address downtown visitation, and many different things. We have had a number of meetings, and we've hired a wonderful individual. His name's Mr. Alex Statinsky. He comes through us from Beverly Hills. He used to run
Germany.
And Germany. Ran a business improvement district in the LA Beverly Hills area for many, many years. Very intelligent, very smart. He's also hired Mr. Higdon from the Reno Gazette-Journal to work for the BID, which is now being identified as the Downtown Reno Partnership. And so, and so he, the two of them are going to occupy the old bus station downtown in City Plaza. And their office will be there. We will have information in regards, they were going to be working directly with our Human Services Agency to connect with social workers to make sure that some of our homeless individuals are getting the services that they need. They'll be working with, we'll have ambassadors on the street during events and throughout the year to identify and help individuals, tourists to the area, and just residents maneuver downtown. So it's a wonderful program, off and running, working diligently with that, and also the city of Reno. So huge congratulations to all the members that have participated on that and gotten that up and running. So thank you for that. And then one other thing I wanted to bring up that has been a big topic of concern for a lot of the residents out in my district is Mount Rose Highway. We had an RTC meeting yesterday, confirmed with the director of NDOT. Washoe County and NDOT will be holding a joint community forum to discuss safety and some of the concerns on Mount Rose Highway, hopefully in the middle of November. We're getting that scheduled and getting a location, so please look more for that information. But we're going to be discussing the traffic impacts on Mount Rose Highway and how we'll be addressing that going forward in conjunction with NDOT. So that's all I have for reports. Thank you, Madam.
You're welcome. Can I just ask a quick question? Michael Higdon left the RGJ? Yes. I just want to say something I think is so interesting, because Michael Higdon has been a big proponent, loud advocate for the homeless and the issues surrounding them. And then to go into public service, which journalism is a form of public service, I think that is a real coup that the BID did, and I commend the forward thinking there. So that is wonderful. Congratulations, Mr. Higdon. Mr. Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Commissioner Lucy had mentioned some stuff with RTC and with NDOT, and I know that they have met with you as well. I know that they've met with other commissioners. But that has to do with the Spaghetti Bowl and the widening of 395. The state is moving quickly on this. The Spaghetti Bowl designs are up. They'll be sharing them fairly soon. This will happen sooner than you think, it's in December. Yeah, December 2nd. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Lucy. That's exactly right. The designs are innovative. It's not going to be an easy fix because we've sort of grown up around it, but they are moving quickly, and I commend NDOT and RTC, of course. We have a new light on Pyramid Highway. Some will like it, some will have a disdain for it because it's going to slow people down, but it's at Calle de la Plata and Pyramid. It is open today. There have been numerous accidents at this intersection. Sadly, some fatalities over the years, and this has been something that I've worked on for many, many years prior to being elected, when I was a Citizens Advisory Board member and then onto the Planning Commission and et cetera. So I'm pleased. And NDOT and I are talking about an acceleration lane from Sean Eva Hall Road all the way to West Calle de la Plata. That is also in the works, and so I'm hoping that before spring, that gets started as well, and then some other upgrades are coming to Pyramid Highway. So I'm excited for all of the things that are happening through RTC and through NDOT, and I want to thank my colleagues on RTC for their support. Thank you.
Yeah, and I commend you again. That should be Pyramid and Hartung Highway. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, moving right along, Mr. Manager.
Madam Chair, your next item is your consent agenda. This is represented in item 6 on today's agenda, and those items are 6A through 6G3.
Okay, does anybody want to pull any out? If not,
Motion to approve.
Oh, hang on a second. Commissioner Herman has a question. Sorry, Commissioner Herman, the window didn't come up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to question 6F7. And the reason I question it is it's quite an important thing, kind of something that I thought would have its own number rather than just be on consent.
So you want to pull it out and have a staff report?
Sure.
Okay, we can do that. Commissioner Hartung and Commissioner Lucy, would you agree as the first and the second to pull 6F7?
If that's the desire.
Okay. All those in, oh wait, public comment for items 6, excluding 6F7, because we're going to pull that one out as an individual.
There
Madam Clerk?
is, Madam Chair, public comment on 6C.
Okay.
Elise Weatherly.
Ms. Weatherly, item 6C, which is the Access to Healthcare Network and Incline Village Community Hospital Foundation.
And she also signed up for 6D.
Okay, and you may speak of that one as well, which is the Interdiction Task Force.
All right, Elise Weatherly, and what I wanted to say here is this is real life situations here. We have low-income employees, uninsured employees, we have drug trafficking, we have all these things that need to be taken care of, and how do you merge these two together? What I will say is when I worked for the El Dorado, the ACA was probably the hardest thing to deal with. The state of Nevada, their insurance, their access to health care network, I would say somebody should probably take a look at that because in my opinion, what the state of Nevada paid for their website was millions of dollars so that people could have a vending machine for insurance. So I would just be very careful in doing this. How are you going to make sure that a person is actually working? You know, you want a person working because otherwise they aren't working and they don't get health insurance. People have a tendency to lie about stuff like that. The other thing too is the task force funding. I am so grateful for what we are trying to do in this city, especially Reno. I have contacted the SET department many times going, I know of drug trafficking that's going on in certain areas. Can you please stop it? The problem is with kids, some of them are good and some of them aren't. And a lot of times we want to put, things into their heads and make them better, and sometimes it just doesn't work. I like living in the real world, even though it's very uncomfortable. Is it okay if I make a comment on deferred compensation?
Sure.
Since they're all 6? Okay. I did work with deferred compensation with the El Dorado, and I didn't really like it. What happened was that all the big guys at the top get the money, and they get to put it off for taxes and all that kind of stuff, and the rest of us are kind of scrambling to make ends meet. 6F5, the landscaping, all I would say with you guys is make sure whomever you hire, even if they're the lowest paid, make sure they do their job. Highland Ranch Homeowners Association has gone through like 2 or 3 landscapers right now. One was Crown. They took their money, but they didn't do the job. And unless somebody went around and looked and saw what work was being done, nothing was followed up on. So I would just ask, please follow up on whomever you hire, have somebody look over the stuff that you do. As far as the water goes, I'm begging, keep our water. Our water is what keeps us alive. Keep it here, keep it safe, and keep it clear. Thank you.
Much, Ms. Weatherly.
Madam Chair, we also have Patricia Burke on item 6F2.
Okay, Patricia Burke on item 6F2.
I am Patricia Burke. I have a memo regarding this board meeting that I had a problem in Sun Valley. I've lived at 5790 Side Hill Drive for well over 20 years. I had, up until this last year, there were no problems out there, but then the person that bought the property next to me started parking in the front of his property as well. You would think it would be all right, but no, that property was at one time appointed and dedicated to the Washoe County. And Washoe County did not accept the dedication, so therefore I was told that this man next door had the right to park there in front of his home. There are no parking signs there. I did not know that there was such thing as county commissioners. Forgive me for my ignorance. I reached out to the board, spoke with 2 different county commissioners, thought that they had the solution and they were going to help me, one in particular. And when I didn't feel that one helped, then I reached out to the other one out of desperation. I've explained the situation to them and I showed them my property next door to the man that parks there is when my husband and I, who's 81 years old, go to leave our driveway, the man parking there who has anywhere from 1 to 4 vehicles blocks our view to the north of the road on Side Hill Drive, which people travel extremely fast along there. You can check with the Sheriff Department for the number of tickets for speeding up to 70 miles an hour on that street. Anyway, my husband and I have been trying to get out of our driveway, and we can't see to the south of us because of this individual's vehicles parked there, and we have almost been killed numerous times just trying to leave our driveway. I have asked that someone do something about it, and the board led me to believe that something could be done, but then to my disappointment, nothing was done. I was not given advice as to what my rights were or what I could do. I brought it upon myself, me and my husband, to come up to Washoe County and find out why wasn't the property in the front accepted by Washoe County for the dedication. They were unaware of this. I'm the one that brought it to their attention that they need to accept this property so that, and this is what this meeting is about today, as to whether or not accept the property on Side Hill Drive. And I have the memo here. If any of you didn't get a copy, you're more than welcome to see it. This was sent to me it was to the Board of Commissioners. I'm asking you to please
Ms. Burke,
accept.
if you could please
I'm sorry.
wind it up here. Your 3
Would you
minutes are
please
over.
accept this dedication that should have been accepted years ago and prevent this man from parking on the property? Because it's not only obstructing my view, it's obstructing children walking to the school at the end of the road, and they have to go
Okay,
out into the
and
road.
we have a motion and a second on the table right now to accept that, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam
Any other
Chair,
public comment?
we also had Tammy Holt still signed in for 6F7, which was pulled.
Okay, we'll call her during that item. Thank you very much. So I have a motion and a second to approve consent, leaving out 6F7. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Now we will go back to 6F7. Mr. Manager, if you please read that, and if staff could come up and give us a brief report as requested by Commissioner Herman. Thank
Happy
you.
to do so. 6F7 is a recommendation to approve an agreement with the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, the County of Washoe, and the City of Reno for the aquifer storage and recovery American Flat Road site on APN 079-332-37 to initiate a groundwater aquifer feasibility study at no cost to Washoe County.
Good morning. This is excuse me, I'm doing that thing again. Good morning. For the record, Dwayne Smith, Director of Engineering Capital Projects. This item before you today is to approve the agreement to allow access to Washoe County parcel that's a part of an overall regional and collaborative study to allow for the potential identification of this area to be used for groundwater injection. As we move into the future, we know that effluent management is an important part of our region. And part of that effluent management is to look at options. It's what the public expects us to be doing. It's what our ratepayers expect us to be doing, to be looking at options. So this is a study to understand the aquifer characteristics that's being led by a collaborative effort between the City of Reno, Tumwa, our water purveyor, and Washoe County. Once we have the information from this study, this information will be fed into an overall strategy for how we may be able to deal with effluent within not just the North Valleys area, but in other parts of Washoe County as well. These are important projects. They, again, speak to the collaborative and regional nature of what we're doing with effluent. And I think this is exactly what you as the Board of County Commissioners are expecting and what the public is expecting, which is us to do these studies, come up with these understandings, and move forward with alternatives that help both us now and as we move into the future for sustainability and resiliency within our wastewater utilities. So this is really to give the ability to gain access to our site and do this initial study. This initial study will utilize potable water that's supplied from Tumwa to inject it into the ground and measure and understand how that water moves through the natural characteristics underground. There is a series of monitoring wells that will be included in this work. And again, this study will help us understand what capabilities might exist in the future.
Great, thank you so much. I have Commissioner Hartung who is requesting to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think this is summed up in the second paragraph of the summary, which says, and I will quote, "This study will be conducted by pumping a groundwater well, which is owned and operated by the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, and injecting the same water into a new groundwater well constructed at American Flat Road parcel. The monitoring wells will be installed, allowing the movement and quality of water to be studied. No permanent above-ground facilities will be constructed, and preliminary activities for this specific aquifer investigation are planned to begin in October 2018 and completed by 2019. So this is just really about how does water move throughout the aquifer. We want to determine where the fissures are, the faults. Does water move across those faults? And this is the beginning of it. We're taking water out of the ground and we're putting it back into the ground.
An
in
experiment.
different places. It's merely a study.
Okay. Commissioner Herman, do you have any questions? You did pull this item. You don't have any questions?
Hear the public comment?
Okay.
Yeah.
We can hear the public comment. Mr. Smith, do you have something more to add?
Yeah, Vice Chair Jung, I appreciate that. I think that there is a lot of interest in what we're doing regionally with effluent. And I think it's very important to recognize that there's some very exciting, very important things in the horizon. And while this particular item is really focused in on gaining access to the Washoe County parcel and going through this test program with potable water, I think there's a larger conversation to be had. So I guess I just really wanted to take an extra moment to say we'd certainly appreciate, as Engineering Capital Projects, coming back with a much more comprehensive discussion when we're a little bit more prepared to provide you with a really good foundation about all the good things that we're doing, both regionally with the City of Reno, the City of Sparks, with Tumwa, also in collaboration with the Water Institute and One Water Nevada, at the university.
which
So I think-
Commissioner Hartung lobbied to give them money so we could further study this as well.
So I think we owe it to you to come back with
I
a
agree.
broader discussion and a
We need to be
presentation in the
educated,
future.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Commissioner
Thank
Hartung has another question. Mr. Smith, and then I will call public comment.
It's a comment, and this is about taking effluent and moving it from the liability side of our balance sheet to the asset side, so that we're not disposing of it anywhere, regardless. We're using it where we need to use it. Some people have talked about effluent management in a bad way. I look at it as a positive thing. We're treating it as an asset, and that asset. And when we get to the point, and this is something I commend staff on, when we get to the point where we're treating it to a very high standard, it is an asset and can be used virtually anywhere in the system. And that's what this beginning of this study is. And we know that basically storing water underground is a much more efficient way to do it. These are fairly deep wells. I look forward to seeing the results of this study. This is in no way going to harm the scenario. We are taking water from the ground and putting it back in the ground. It's the same exact water. We just want to see how it moves. Thank you.
Right, and the country of Israel is the leading country in the world of treating effluent and reusing it. While they're surrounded by salt water, they also are in a desert. So, thank you. Ms. Tammy Holtstill. They recycle 90% of their wastewater.
Tammy Holtstill, Lemon Valley Swan Lake Recovery Committee. I need the overhead. For the record, the water's still there. I'm still here. Let's start again with, because it falls right in. You all received this. This Bible that you all received, I bet you have not taken the time, and I bet you it's probably gone in the trash to not know and understand what's happening in a closed basin. Okay? So let's start with number one. We've all seen this. Over the record years, there have been many record years, but we haven't had the flooding that we have had now. Here is a photo of what it looked like during its worst peak. Okay? Then you have...
Ms. Holtstill, are you
If you're
addressing item
dig-
6
Okay,
F7?
I want more time, and I will be reporting this. Thank you. Again,
Please address item 6 F7.
American Flats is part of, which here is where the committee, or excuse me, the company was out doing its drilling testing to get the core samples. It is in the Lemon Valley Hydrological Basin. Being in the basin of a closed basin and wanting to put more water in, whether it's on top or on bottom, goes back to, again, that photo right there showing how much water there is. If you'd let me finish, you'd understand. So, when you are taking water and you keep pumping it into a closed basin, and the water in the aquifer is going up and up and up, and then we have a storm like we had. Yeah, it's right here. The storm we had right here, you end up with that. So, being from a residential person looking at all this and having to be an expert in the field of water lately because I've been forced to, this is something that we have an issue with. And the antiquated way that testing has been done with just doing core samples and not doing all the science, because there is proper science being done out there. And when I have asked for what kind of science has been done besides the red dye test, I'm not getting the answers. California is a good example. If you go out and look at our Facebook page, there is an issue with aquifer injection for the ranchers and how the earth is sinking when the aquifers have been drained. There are issues with doing this. We don't need all this water in a closed basin, and I don't appreciate having this much water in a closed basin. The water has to go someplace else except for in a closed basin.
Thank you very much, Ms. Holtstill. I'll bring it back to the board. Any further questions for staff? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Hartung, a second by Lucy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Please cast your vote so we can affirm your vote up on the screen. And that vote passes 4-0. Unanimous vote. Please let the record show that Commissioner Burke-Bigler is not in attendance today. Mr. Commissioner Hartung, would you like to make a motion for a block vote?
It would be my pleasure. I would recommend, at the board's indulgence, and if anyone disagrees, I will surely entertain that. Items 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and possibly item 17 with all of the names listed of Jennifer Oliver, Polly Boardman, Stephanie Chen, Darla Lee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. We will need the manager to read that. And then after he's done reading that, call for public comment. Is that okay? All right, Mr. Manager.
Item 7 is a recommendation to acknowledge receipt of change log attached as Exhibit A for the 2018-2019 assessment roll that results in a net increase of $422,391,509 in assessed value. Item 8 is a recommendation to approve roll changes request pursuant to NRS 361.765 and/or NRS 361.768 for errors discovered on the 2015-16, 16-17, 17-18, and 18-19 secured and unsecured tax rolls, and authorize chair to execute the changes described in Exhibits A and B and direct the Washoe County Treasurer to correct the errors. Cumulative amount of decrease to all taxing entities is $280,881.97. Recommendation, agenda item 9 is recommendation to approve the Washoe County Safety Committee's recommended revisions to the driver policy and the supporting documents entitled Authorization to Request Driving Record and Communication Electronic Device Use. Item 10 is recommendation to acknowledge receipt of the interim financial report for Washoe County governmental funds for the 3 months ended September 30, 2018. Item 11 is a recommendation to approve a sole source agreement between Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada and Washoe County in an amount not to exceed $1,402,862 for the term of the agreement to provide housing, property management, and supportive services at multiple sites for the Crossroads program, retroactive to July 1, 2018 through June 30, 2019, with the option to renew for 2 additional one-year periods. Item 12 is a recommendation to approve a one-time payment and authorize the purchasing and contract manager to generate a purchase order in the amount of $134,324.82 to Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada to support approved fiscal year 18 Crossroads client need costs that exceeded the $672,813 contract amount as a result of program enhancements. Item 13 is a recommendation to accept a traffic safety resource prosecutor grant to the District Attorney's Office in the amount of $200,000 with a $50,000 required match from the State of Nevada Department of Public Safety, Office of Traffic Safety, to hire a full-time prosecutor and required training retroactive from October 1, 2018 through September 30, 2019. Direct the comptroller to make the necessary budget amendments, authorize human resources to create the 1.0 FTE position of a Deputy District Attorney 3, and retroactively authorize the District Attorney to sign the grant agreement. Item 14 is recommendation to approve an interlocal agreement between Washoe County and Nevada State Mail Services to provide mail services to Washoe County for a period of 4 years with 2 one-year renewals retroactive from September 10, 2018 through June 30, 2022. Estimated annual cost of $550,000 per fiscal year, and if approved, authorize the purchasing and contract manager to execute the contract. Item 15 is recommendation to accept a grant from Water Research Foundation Subscriber Priority Program in the amount of $49,810 with a county match of $117,857 for the period November 1, 2018 through November 15, 2020. authorizing Assistant County Manager Dave Solero to execute the project funding agreement and all appropriate WRF subscriber priority program related agreements and documents, and if approved, direct the Comptroller's Office to make the necessary budget amendments. Item 16 is recommendation to approve amendment number 1 to increase the agreement for professional consulting services between Washoe County and NCE in the amount of $99,000, bringing total contract amount to $198,992 for inspection and engineering support services through June 30, 2019. And item 19 is recommendation to and possible action to approve the appointment of 4 open space and regional park commissioners to fill vacancies on the commission for terms as listed or until such time as successor is appointed. And staff is recommending Jennifer Oliver in District 3, Polly Boardman, District 4, Stephanie Chin, District 4, and Darla Lee in District 5.
Mr. Manager, I thought you said item 19 on that. Just for correction's sake, that is item 17. Am I
I'm sorry,
correct?
that is item 17.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, is there any public comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, there is on item 11 and 12, Ms. Elise Weatherly.
Okay. Ms. Weatherly?
Hi, Elise Weatherly. I was wondering if there's anybody else that was as confused about politics as me. So for questions number 11 and 12, how do these items get on the agenda? Are they discussed and researched first? Is there a public option for comments, suggestions, and recommendations? Because I remember probably 2 years ago with the meals program for the Northern Catholic Charities, whatever it's called, that it did not make sense for me to apply that much money into meals for free over there at the facility, that there should be some cost accounting with that. And now I see with this that not only do you want to give another $1,402,000 for something else, but you're going to have a check for, was it $134,324.82 because it exceeded the $672,813 that was contracted in the first place. What I would like to say is, how do these items get researched before they're voted on? And I'm not trying to be mean to the board as general, because I can tell you guys don't want to look at me, and I understand why. Because I'm saying some of this stuff is wrong, and yet it seems to get a yes vote on everything. So what I would like to know is who goes through and see if this stuff makes sense. Why are the Catholic Charities of Northern Nevada being given so much money to do these things? Where are those funds going? How are they being distributed? How are they being reconciled? Who's taking a look at what's going where and what the benefit is? And I have also said in the past that, you know what, we've got local churches around here that are supposed to be churches of Christ, and one of the things that they're supposed to do is take care of people. Well, guess what? They don't, okay? They're fake. How do we know that something is fake or not fake unless we take a look at the end result of their product? Who is in charge of taking a look at these things that we're giving away? $1.5 million for one thing, $1.5 million for something else. Who's looking at this stuff to see if it's got a good ROI, if it's actually accomplishing the purposes? You know, I would like to see somebody in place that would actually take a look at the options, like over at the meal place. Charge $2 a meal. Don't just let people slide because they, you know, look like they're in bad shape. They want the money. They want $2. It would offset the cost of these meals. It would make sense. It would put some responsibility on the people that are going over there and getting these things for free. So if I were on the board, I would look at this stuff first and try to find an alternate option and solution that doesn't cost the likes of me so much money. Thank you.
Hold still. I have a motion by Hartung. What did I call her? I'm sorry, Ms. Holtstill. Thank you, Ms. Weatherly. I have a motion by Commissioner Hartung, a second by Commissioner Lucy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Please vote on your screen. Yeah, oh, there it goes.
Trying.
And affirm your vote on the monitor. All right, and that motion carries unanimously with Commissioner Burke-Bigler not in attendance. Mr. Manager.
It takes us to item 18. This is a public hearing item, and this is a second reading and adoption of an ordinance amending Washoe County Code, Chapter 110.
Okay, we'll open up the public hearing, and Madam Clerk, do you want to give us a ordinance number? And read it.
This, if passed, will be ordinance number 1624, an ordinance amending the Washoe County Code at Chapter 110 Development Code to change the number of van-accessible handicap parking spaces required in accordance with Washoe County Code, Table 110.410.15.1. from 1 per 8 handicap parking spaces to 1 per 6 handicap parking spaces for any parking facility serving the public, and to address other matters necessarily connected therewith and pertaining thereto. It was Bill number 1811.
1811, all right. I would,
That was Bill number 1811. It's ordinance number 1624.
1624, who would like to make that motion? Yes, sir.
I would make the motion that we adopt ordinance 1624.
I have a second. I have a motion by Lucy, a second by Herman. Any public comment? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that, first affirm your votes. Did we put a motion and a second in, guys? Okay, there it is. Please then affirm your vote now that you've cast your vote. And Madam Clerk? Here we go. So please, this motion passes unanimously, and please let the record reflect that Commissioner Hartung has stepped out and Commissioner Burke-Bigler is absent. Mr. Manager.
Next item is item 19. This is also a public hearing item. This is a second reading and possible adoption of an ordinance adopting Development Code Amendment Case Number WCA 18-0001, Sun Valley
Clerk.
Area Plan.
This, if it passes, is ordinance number 1625, an ordinance amending the Washoe County Code at Chapter 110, Development Code of the Washoe County Code within Article 218, Sun Valley Area, Section 218.35A, to remove neighborhood commercial/office zoning from the areas in which mobile homes and manufactured homes are prohibited to be placed within the Sun Valley area. It was Bill number 1810.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance number 1625.
Push the button. And do I have a second?
Do we need a second on that?
Yeah, it's the second reading.
Oh, I'm sorry, second.
Okay.
Apologize.
I have a motion by, did you push your button? I have a motion by Lucy, second by Hartung. You have to exit your, if you're stuck on that, you have to exit out of Granicus and come back in.
Yeah, because I'm still on.
Hang on a second, we got our tech.
Where are we, Bella?
We got our user support unit right here.
It'll work on the fly here.
It just got locked
Okay,
up.
got it.
Can you
Okay, I
help,
see how
will you
to do
help
it
her
now.
too? She has the same issue.
I see how to do it now.
Hers is fine? Okay, thank you. Oh, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you. And please affirm your vote as it is on the board. And that motion carries unanimously with Commissioner Burke-Bigler not in attendance. Mr. Manager?
That takes us to item 20, which is also a public hearing. This is a discussion and possible action to determine whether there is just cause to remove Jennifer Lynn from the Washoe County Regional Animal Services Advisory Board pursuant to WCC 55.0368 for 4 consecutive absences from board meetings and failing to respond to all correspondence relating to this board. If just cause is found, the County Commission may take possible action to remove Jennifer Lynn from the Washoe County Regional Animal Services Advisory Board and to declare a vacancy, allowing staff to open the application process and solicit applications for a new member. And Cheyenne Scholl
Okay.
is here in case you have any questions.
Okay, this is something that's required for us by ordinance. We've been able to reach this person. We hope that they are okay, but we do need a full board for Regional Animal Services Advisory Board. So, any questions?
No.
I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a couple things for the record. The staff did send a certified letter informing the subject of the meeting today, and I would invite you to just ask if there's anyone here representing
Is there
Ms.
anybody
Lynn.
here representing Miss Lynn?
No response. So the information provided in your packet is about the appointee's absences is undisputed. You have just cause under your ordinance to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Herman?
I just wanted to make a comment about this. If that's the way the rules are, I guess that's the way we gotta motate. The other thing is, when we replace her, I was hoping that maybe we could bring it up alongside of adding possibly some other animal people, like we talked before. For instance, possibly somebody who's in a business related to animals, because I think they're not represented on that board. So I'd just like to make that suggestion.
Thank you. Any other questions? Or okay, I would entertain a motion. Oh, wait, I see some speakers too. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Herman.
Oh.
No,
It just popped up. So I would entertain a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Hartung, a second by Lucy. Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And please affirm your vote. And that is passed unanimously with Commissioner Burke-Bigler not in attendance. Mr. Manager.
Madam Chair and Board, we do not have a need for item 21, which is our possible closed session for discussing labor negotiations. So that takes us now to item 22, which is public comment.
Okay, general public comment, and I do have two people signed in. Ms. Tammy Holtstill.
Tammy Holt Still, Lemon Valley Swan Lake Recovery Committee. For the record, the water's still there. We're still here. I am in front of you right now because of the fact that back at the beginning of October, I requested the end of September, middle of September, after the 9/11 vote for Prado Ranch North, I requested public record, all of the texts, phone calls, everything to do with Prado Ranch. I was guaranteed that I would be getting it by the 19th of this month. I got an email saying that supposedly it's not until the 25th. I will be taking the proper steps because I have given you guys plenty of time since the time of that request, and it has not been fulfilled. Again, this is another way of trying to hide the truth. So, again, public record states that. Also, I'm requesting for the public record, the Clomar for Prado Ranch North and South, that is in the Washoe County's vicinity right now, as stated by the representative for the developer, and that you guys are evaluating it. I would like to see an application of that, and I also want to see the response from Washoe County regarding that application request before it goes to FEMA. And so that's out there. I have requested it. I have gotten a response that you guys are working on it, but I'm putting it on the record, public record, so that it is documented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Catherine Snedeker.
For the record, Catherine Snedeker, a non-person, non-resident, unenfranchised natural woman, human being. For the record, I want our volunteer fire department to be back and active. When we had a house fire out there, our volunteers were there. They weren't allowed to get out of the truck. Oh, that's right. Kathy Glather said she's proud of them to be there on standby. We had a fully functioning fire department, and we had fully functioning EMTs. And now we have a standard time of arrival for Engine 17, no matter where you live in Palomino Valley, of 30 minutes. That's ridiculous. At 65 miles an hour, it takes me 20 minutes to get from my house to Spanish Springs. Fire trucks only go 55 or so. They have to deal with dirt roads. They have to deal with crappy paved roads. They have to deal with narrow roads. They have to deal with some four-wheel drive areas. We used to have fully functioning EMTs that worked for REMSA out there. Well, those people now get to wait about 45 minutes before they get any help either. Where before we had people right there, could respond right away. And you have taken that away from us. Meaning you have intentionally put people's lives in harm's way. You have intentionally put our homes, our investments in harm's way. Is this because the paid guys don't like it? Wonder when the paid guys are going to sue the 4 men that put out kept the fire down so 2 houses didn't burn down on Pioche. I wonder when that lawsuit's coming. After all, it's only 30 minutes they would have had to wait, and then they could have put out the embers on the houses. I sure am glad this current administration of the Truckee Meadows Fire Department was not in place when my house caught fire, because it would have burned to the ground. And it was the volunteers that saved it. Maybe that's why you don't want them out there, because you're trying to burn us out. All directions, all indications seem to point to that. I want our volunteers back, and I want them to be fully active, and I want them to leave the firehouse when they think they need to, and not wait for the paid guys 20, 30, 40 minutes. Really, is that good fire protection? Is that what you want to be proud of? Because that's what you need to be proud of right now. No help. Thank you.
Ms. Snedeker, I have no other people signed in for public comment. So, Mr. Manager. Commissioners and county managers' announcements. Do you have anything, Mr.
I do not, thank you.
Manager? Do any commissioners have any announcements? Commissioner Lucy?
Madam Chair, I made a error when I said it was December 2nd for that public meeting. It is actually December 12th at the Reno Sparks Convention Center from 3:30 to 5:30.
And that is for the NDOT.
For Spaghetti Bowl. And all the information anything you want related to the Spaghetti Bowl will be at ndotspaghettidole.com. ndotspaghettidole.com. God, I can't even get that out. Thank
Okay.
you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right, I see no other commissioners wanting to speak. We are adjourned.